I'm about to say something that many people will consider immoral, and many more will consider distasteful. At every funeral, there are two types of people: those who see only tragedy, and those who see both tragedy and opportunity. If that made you uncomfortable, good, it means you found the right video. So let me cut to the chase. Nelson Mandela, Abraham Lincoln, Friedrich Nietzsche, Mike Tyson, Alexander the Great, Thomas Shelby, Van Gogh. What do all of these people have in common? They all possess a particular skill: mental alchemy, the art of using pain to your advantage. I've been learning this skill for the better part of a decade, and I've become quite familiar with it. And while I don't discount the role of predispositions, I'm fairly certain that just about anybody can learn it. So, what is mental alchemy? What has it got to do with pain, and how do you learn it? Wēijī. This is the Chinese word for crisis. It's made up of two parts: wei, meaning danger, and ji, meaning opportunity. It's said that the phrase "never let a good crisis go to waste" stems from this Chinese word. And just as the ancient Chinese understood the inseparableness of danger and opportunity, so too did the alchemists of history have some intuition that even dirt, if handled skillfully enough, could be turned to gold. Of course, we now know that dirt cannot be turned into gold, but the historical popularity of alchemy itself has been a persistent reflection of the innate intuition that psychological dirt can be. But the requirement of study and skill in alchemy reflects an important truth too: that just because life gave you lemons does not mean you're due lemonade. You have to make it yourself, and thus you have to learn how. And while the alchemical disciplines do provide 1,000,001 books explaining exactly how you turn dirt into gold with picture diagrams and step-by-steps, they're all a bunch of wank. None of them work. Similarly, no book, YouTube video, or podcast can teach you mental alchemy. But what they can do is teach you how not to do it. They can describe universal rules that, when broken, prevent it from occurring. Of which rules, one has proved particularly consistent in my personal experience: that bullshitting yourself, lying to yourself, is the primary and most reliable way to ensure that all of your pain goes to waste. See, because pain and growth are a very clingy couple. If you invite one, the other will soon be sure to invite herself. The key word there being invite. I mean, to the degree that you look away from pain, close your door to her, and make up pleasant lies about the cause of her arrival in an attempt to subdue her intensity, you close the door to the gift she brought with her too. Okay, very poetic, Angelo, but how do I actually apply this? Perhaps an example for my personal life will suffice. Oh look, Angelo's oversharing again, let's do it. Last year, I got pretty close to a girl, and it wasn't long before some unresolved jealousy issues of my past started bubbling up. And for a while, I would bullshit myself. I would just distract myself, partly to ease the pain and partly because I was embarrassed that I still hadn't defeated jealousy. I would wait until the emotion had died down, and then I would start theorizing about the potential causes of it in an attempt to defeat it from a safe distance. It never worked. I became a melting pot of pain, embarrassment, and avoidance. I never told her about it out of shame, and told myself that it was out of some benevolent altruism and a desire to keep my problems out of her life. But in reality, I just selfishly didn't want to look insecure. But unfortunately, all of this downplaying prevented me from giving the problem the attention that it warranted. Eventually, I grew some nuts, and instead of over-intellectualizing my jealousy when I wasn't experiencing it, I decided to confront it when it was really happening, right in front of my face. And thus I had my plan. When the pain of jealousy next knocked, I was to open the door to it and try to understand it firsthand. And after attempting to do this for a few weeks, the emotion bubbled up one last time. It was stronger than ever, and so I lay down in complete darkness, just experiencing it for hours, looking at it from different angles and trying to understand what its cause was. No phone, no music, just me, my thoughts, and my emotions. The goal of the whole stunt was to figure out what exactly was going on in my mind in order to cause such an unnecessary emotional reaction. And after hours of sitting with lots and lots of pain with an open mind as to what could be causing it, I had my eureka moment. I figured it out. It boiled down to some residual juvenile romanticism that I hadn't properly integrated. And when I finally saw that, and got the gestalt of how it worked, I never felt the same emotion again. In some sense, by undertaking that endeavor, I grew up. I became invigorated with a new strength, or more precisely, the absence of an old weakness. But just like the gym, becoming stronger required an initial act of strength from a weak position.
Wait, baby! Go! Yep, all right. Yeah, baby!
And this initial act requires faith, so it's pretty hard to do on your own. That's why we hire therapists to guide us towards that initial confrontation. But in many cases, it can be done yourself. You just have to grow some nuts. When I would tell myself that my jealousy wasn't that bad or that it was warranted, I was bullshitting myself. And it was my bullshit that blinded me to the path forwards. And throughout the years of confronting many different pains that I have been troubled with and growing as a result, I sort of came to a realization that we humans are very much like trees. We love the sunshine and rainbows and wish to climb high. But when a tree wants to go up, it first has to go down with its roots. The easiness of modern times has caused a weakness in men, and that weakness is exemplified in our refusal to go down. We just want the sunshine and rainbows, the high follower count and the hot girlfriend, but rarely ever do we venture down into the dirt of ourselves. But rather counterintuitively, down happens to be the way to grow up. And pain is the compass that tells us which way is down. In this sense, pain is your friend. If it was not, you wouldn't need it, and natural selection would have done away with it many moons ago. Having this perspective on pain has given me a calling to look where it is rather than look away from it. And in turn, that has granted me immeasurable personal growth over the years. But I'm guessing you don't just want metaphors about trees. I'm guessing you want some sort of step-by-step guide on how to use pain to your advantage. I can't give you one, and maybe that causes you pain. And maybe that pain is step one. Maybe you avoid that pain because you don't want to climb the untrodden terrain of your mountain. After all, you can't even see the top. And since you lack faith in what you can't already see, you wish to join others atop their mountains in the distance, following the trail of step-by-steps that they left behind them. Or maybe you do have the will to climb your mountain, but have a habit of peering into the dark forest at its foot and saying, tomorrow. I'm just speculating on the details here, and there will be some watching this video, no doubt, who already do see pain as an opportunity and act accordingly, but there will be many more who are still cowards.
If you woke up tomorrow and you were like, you know what, screw all of this, I just don't care enough, like, I don't feel good enough.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I know I could do that, I could just walk away, but it's like, I don't want to.
Perhaps not by their own failure, but by a simple misconception of the role that pain serves in life. So if you are the type to comment, cool story bro, but what should I go and do about it? Then here's the first thing you do. Understand that you are lazy. You come to matters of the mind with questions of what to do with your hands. Your fear is manifesting itself as laziness. Your laziness is stunting your growth, and your stunted growth is causing you frustration. That frustration has pain. Explore it. Ask yourself why it is happening. Then take your best answer and stress test it. The goal is to get to the truth of the matter, not to create a pleasant psychological habitat for yourself made out of synthetic cotton and comforters. I'm going off script. You cannot truly build your future. You can only really build yourself, and it is yourself that brings about your future. And man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculptor. So next time that subtle, painful emotion that you can't quite put your finger on bubbles up inside of you, don't open TikTok. I genuinely think that the most beneficial tool for me in my life so far has been a willingness to sit down with my thoughts and figure things out. I quit drinking a few years ago, and my life has gone parabolic ever since. My happiness levels have never been better, and many people will say it's because you're not flooding your brain with toxins, but that's not the case at all. The difference was that when I had alcohol, I was able to simply distract myself from pain. But ever since that time, being completely sober and raw dogging reality for 3 years, I think now, I have been forced to confront problems when they arise. And it's a result of those confrontations that I have grown. You can do exactly the same thing. You just have to stop being lazy. When there is discomfort, there is always an easy way and a hard way to deal with it. The hard way makes life easy. The easy way makes life hard. Every single time you feel pain, there is an opportunity to do the former, and therefore there is an opportunity to make your life better. Pain is not a spiky wall that's pushing you off the edge of a cliff. It is the hand that is helping you out of the rough waters. Knowing this Not in the sense of propositional, I know that that is the case, but knowing it on an experiential, participatory level, on the level of wisdom, in which it's enacted, is enough to be the difference maker between a life well lived and a life that you end up wishing had never occurred. So these are not trivial matters, they are the building blocks of greatness. This is just an introduction to the concept, and I'm going to be talking a lot throughout my whole life about this type of thing. So if you want more, subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. So thank you.